Procrastination is the natural evil of the ambitious and the grave of the dreams of those who never learned to master it. Napoleon Hill. 9 out of 10 people around you are trapped, not in visible chains, not in concrete prisons. They are trapped inside themselves, inside a silent, repetitive, and devastating cycle that prevents them day after day from building the life they say they want. 90%. Think about that. Look at the people around you, your friends, your colleagues, your family. Statistically, almost all of them are sabotaging their own future without even realizing the mechanism that controls them. And do you know what is most disturbing? Most of them believe the problem is a lack of willpower. They believe it is enough to try harder, focus better, stop being lazy. They judge themselves. They punish themselves. And that judgment, that brutal self-criticism, feeds exactly the cycle they are trying to break. It is a maze with no exit when you do not even know you are inside it. Write this down. Procrastination is not laziness. It never was. And as long as you keep believing it is, you will keep fighting the symptom and ignoring the cause. Neuroscience has spent decades deciphering what happens inside your brain when you postpone a task. And what it found is not a character flaw. It is not moral weakness. It is a survival mechanism that was programmed into you thousands of years ago, and that today, in the modern world, is destroying you from the inside without making a single sound. This is not an ordinary motivational video. I am not going to tell you to wake up early or make a to-do list. You already know that, and clearly it is not working. What I am going to do is different. I am going to show you the invisible architecture behind your procrastination. I am going to take you inside your own mind and show you exactly what happens in the moment you choose comfort over progress, and why that choosing is not even a conscious choice. Here's the truth. The enemy is not outside of you. It never was. And today, you are going to meet it face to face. Napoleon Hill spent decades studying the most successful men in the world: Carnegie, Ford, Edison, Rockefeller. And one of the most devastating conclusions of his research was this: the difference between those who achieve and those who merely dream is not talent, it is not luck. It is the ability to act despite discomfort, to move the body when the mind says stop, to execute when the brain calls for escape. And today, neuroscience confirms what Hill sensed. The battlefield is internal. It always was. And you're about to understand the rules of this game for the very first time. For generations, a lie has been passed from father to son, from teacher to student, from boss to employee. A lie so well packaged, so repeated, so accepted as absolute truth that no one ever thought to question it. The lie is this: if you procrastinate, it is because you are weak. It is because you do not want it enough. It is because you lack discipline, character, drive. This belief is everywhere. It is in the self-help books that say, just want it badly enough. It is in the motivational speeches that preach no excuses. It is in the voice of your father when he told you that you needed to try harder. It is in your own inner voice, the one that whispers, you are a failure, every time you open your phone, instead of working on your project. Say this aloud and pay attention to how it resonates inside you. I am not lazy. I am fighting against something nobody ever taught me to understand. Do you know what this cultural narrative did to millions of people? It created a generation of highly competent, highly intelligent, highly capable human beings who live in a permanent state of shame, who wake up every day feeling like they are less than they should be, who build entire identities around a flaw that in reality is not a flaw at all. It is a response. Thomas Edison failed more than 10,000 times before creating the electric light bulb. But do you know what Edison never did? He never convinced himself that the problem was him. He changed the experiment. He adjusted the approach. He understood that the solution was in understanding the mechanism, not in punishing himself for the failure. And that mindset, that refusal to accept the limiting narrative, was what separated Edison from everyone else who tried and gave up. The collective illusion of procrastination works the same way. As long as you believe the problem is you will keep trying to fix yourself through guilt. And guilt, my friend, has never built anything. Guilt paralyzes. Guilt shames. Guilt feeds exactly the cycle you are trying to break. Here's the truth. The modern productivity culture, the one that glorifies the hustle, that celebrates those who sleep less, that turns overwork into a virtue, that culture is lying to you. It sells the idea that the problem is within you, so that you never stop to question the systems, the environments, and the mechanisms that are truly at the root of the problem. Andrew Carnegie, the man who built one of the greatest industrial empires in American history, once said something that was forever marked in Napoleon Hill's mind. Carnegie said that the successful man is not the one who never stumbles. It is the one who learns the language of stumbling, who transforms each fall into data, each failure into information, each delay into a signal that something needs to be adjusted, not in character, but in strategy. You were taught to hate yourself when you procrastinate. Science is saying something completely different. It is saying, pay attention. Your brain is sending you a signal. And if you learn to read that signal instead of suffocating it with guilt, you will discover a key that most people will never find. Write this down. Procrastination is not the enemy. Ignorance about it is. And today, that ignorance ends. Abraham Lincoln said that if he had 6 hours to chop down a tree, he would spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. Most people spend their lives trying to cut down trees with dull axes and blaming themselves for not being able to do it. Sharpening the axe in this context is exactly what we are doing right now, understanding the mechanism before fighting against it. Because when you understand the architecture of your own mind, when you stop treating procrastination as a moral defect and start treating it as a neurological signal, everything changes. The way you see yourself changes. The way you act changes. The way you build your routine, your projects, your life, everything changes. And that change begins now, not tomorrow, not on Monday. Now, in this exact moment, in this exact video, in this exact sentence. If this is speaking to you, if you are feeling that finally someone is naming something you always felt but could never explain, subscribe. Let this channel be part of your daily reprogramming, because what we are building here together is much bigger than a video. It is a new way of seeing yourself. Now let us go in, let us cross the surface and go straight to the core of the problem. Because it is here, at this exact point, that most content about procrastination fails. They stay on the periphery. They talk about symptoms, they give tips, but they never take you inside. Inside your brain, at this very moment, 2 forces are in constant war. 2 neurological structures with completely opposing goals, fighting for control of your decisions, your actions, your future. The first is the limbic system, ancient, primitive, powerful. It was built over millions of years of evolution with a single objective: to keep you alive right now, not tomorrow. Not 10 years from now, now. The limbic system does not understand deadlines. It does not understand projects. It does not understand long-term goals. It understands pain and pleasure, danger and safety, discomfort and relief. The second is the prefrontal cortex, more recent on the evolutionary scale, more sophisticated. It is what allows you to plan, to dream, to project consequences, to build strategies. It is what knows that you need to deliver that report. That knows you have an important project waiting. That understands, with complete rational clarity, what needs to be done. Say this aloud. Inside me, there is a part that wants to protect me from discomfort, and a part that knows exactly what I need to do. And every day, these 2 parts wage war. Here's the problem. When your prefrontal cortex looks at a difficult task, that project you keep postponing, that difficult conversation you avoid, that business you are going to start on Monday, it transmits that information to the limbic system. And the limbic system, upon detecting any signal of discomfort, activates the amygdala. The amygdala fires an alert, and that alert says one very simple thing: flee. Not flee from the report, not flee from the project. Flee from the discomfort associated with them. And your brain, brilliant and creative as it is, immediately finds an alternative: your phone, social media, that smaller task that was always on the list, coffee, cleaning the desk, anything that offers immediate relief from the discomfort the important task was generating. And here is the loop nobody tells you about. Every time you flee, every time you successfully procrastinate and feel that relief, your brain learns. It registers. Delaying works. Delaying reduces discomfort. And the next time you face a difficult task, the escape response will be faster, more automatic, more powerful. Write this down. You are not choosing to procrastinate. Your brain is executing a survival program that has been reinforced over years, sometimes decades, of repetition. Neuroimaging studies from universities like Calgary and Constance show something fascinating and disturbing. When people with a high tendency to procrastinate are exposed to deadlines and challenging tasks, their amygdala shows significantly greater activation than in people with a low tendency to delay. It is not a lack of intelligence. It is not a lack of willpower. It is a more intense neurological response to the stimulus of discomfort. And there is more. Researchers discovered what they call the future self-empathy gap. Brain scans reveal that when a procrastinator thinks about their future self, the person who will suffer the consequences of today's delay, the brain activates the same regions it activates when thinking about a complete stranger, not to themselves, a stranger. Think about what that means. When you delay, you are not consciously sabotaging yourself. You are, in neurological terms, abandoning a stranger, someone with whom you have no real emotional connection, someone whose future suffering does not activate your empathy in the same way as your present discomfort. Henry Ford said that thinking is the hardest work there is, which is why so few people engage in it. And I say, understanding yourself is the most courageous work there is, which is why so few people make it this far. You made it, and that already says something about who you are. Here's the truth. Your brain is not against you. It never was. It is doing exactly what it was programmed to do: protect you. The problem is that the world changed, and the programming did not keep up. The threats your limbic system faces today are not lions or snakes. They are deadlines, judgments, failures, rejections. And the brain uses the same primitive tools to deal with modern threats, with devastating results for your productivity, your dreams, and your identity. But when you understand the mechanism, you can interfere with it. Not fight it, interfere with it. And that difference is everything. And before we continue, I want to hear from you. Where are you watching this video from right now? What country? What city did you come from to be here today? Leave it in the comments. Your city, your country, where you are building your best self from. We will read every comment. We will respond. Because this is not just a channel, it is a community. And every strong community begins with real people, from real places with real stories. So write it down there right now. We are waiting for you. Let us step away from theory for a moment. Let us talk about real people, about situations you have probably already lived, maybe yesterday, maybe this morning, maybe right now as you listen to these words. Think about the intelligent, dedicated, full of potential university student. He has a dissertation to deliver in 2 weeks. He knows the importance. He knows the consequences. And yet, when he sits down in front of the computer, something happens. The phone appears in his hand. Social media opens. 1 hour passes, then 2. Then he looks at the clock and feels that specific mixture of guilt, shame, and panic that every procrastinator knows intimately. He is not stupid. He is not lazy. What is happening inside his brain is exactly what we described before. The limbic system interpreting the task as a source of discomfort and offering an immediate escape route. And every hour on social media reinforces the pattern. Every time he flees and feels relief, the loop deepens. Say this aloud. I have already seen myself in that situation, and it was not weakness. It was a program running without me knowing it existed. Now think about the professional in his early 30s, competent, recognized, with a position he earned through effort. On his desk, there is a strategic project that could transform his career, a project he himself proposed, that he himself believes in. And that has been sitting in the drawer for 3 months, because there is no time. The right moment has not come. It needs to be more ready. But here is the truth he does not want to hear. The right moment will never come, because the right moment is not a question of timing. It is a construction of the limbic system to justify the escape from the discomfort that project represents. The fear of failing, the fear of being judged, the fear of delivering something that is not perfect and discovering that maybe you are not as good as you imagined. Perfectionism, by the way, is one of the most sophisticated forms of procrastination that exists. And it is also the most cruel because it disguises itself as a virtue. It looks like responsibility. It looks like care. But underneath the mask of perfectionism, there is always the same primitive fear. If I try and fail, what does that say about me? Charles Schwab, one of the men Carnegie admired most, said something that Napoleon Hill cited repeatedly in his lectures. The man who does more than he is paid for will eventually receive more than he does. But to do more, you first need to do something. And to do something, you need to understand what keeps you from starting. Write this down. Perfectionism is not a high standard. It is fear in expensive clothes. The research from the University of Calgary, conducted by Dr. Piers Steele, considered one of the world's foremost experts on procrastination, analyzed data from more than 800 studies over several decades, and one of the most impactful conclusions was this. The tendency to procrastinate has increased significantly in recent decades, in parallel with the rise of digital distractions and the culture of instant gratification. In other words, the modern environment was architected to hijack your limbic system. Every notification, every like, every infinite scroll was designed by behavioral engineers to activate your immediate reward system, the same system that competes directly with your prefrontal cortex when you try to work on something important. You are not fighting your lack of discipline. You are fighting against billions of dollars in persuasion technology, designed specifically to steal your attention before you even realize it was taken. Here's the truth. The battlefield is real. The enemy is real. But now you know the terrain. And a warrior who knows the terrain has already won half the battle. Napoleon Hill understood this before neuroscience even had a name. In Think and Grow Rich, he spoke repeatedly about the power of the subconscious mind, about how invisible mental patterns determine visible results. He did not have an MRI machine. He did not have neuroimaging data. But he had something many scientists do not: the ability to observe human patterns at scale and extract universal truths from them. And the universal truth he extracted is this: you are the product of your dominant thoughts. And if your dominant thoughts are of escape, of delay, of "I'll start tomorrow," then the product of your life will reflect exactly that. But, and this is the point that changes everything, dominant thoughts can be reprogrammed. Patterns can be rewritten. The brain is plastic. It changes, it learns, and just as it learned to flee, it can learn to advance. We have reached the point that matters, not the point of knowledge. You already have enough knowledge. The point of transformation, because information without application is just intellectual entertainment, and you are not here to be entertained. You are here to change. So let us talk about what really works, not tips, not productivity hacks, neurological strategies that interfere with the mechanism we just dissected together. The first and most powerful change begins in internal language, in what you say to yourself when you procrastinate. Most people use negative identity phrases. I am a procrastinator. I can never finish anything. I am lazy. And when you use those phrases, you are not just describing a behavior. You are building an identity. And the brain, extraordinarily loyal to the identity you build, will work to confirm exactly that version of you. Say this aloud and say it with conviction. I am someone who acts. I am someone who starts. I am someone who delivers. It may feel artificial right now. It may feel like you are lying to yourself. But here is what neuroscience says about this. The brain does not clearly distinguish between a real experience and an experience vividly imagined with enough intensity. When you repeat an affirmation with emotion, with conviction, with frequency, you are literally creating new neural pathways. You are rewriting the code. Napoleon Hill called this autosuggestion. Modern science calls it neuroplasticity. The name changes. The mechanism is the same. The second strategy is what neuroscientists call implementation intention. Instead of saying, I will work on my project tomorrow, you say, tomorrow at 8 in the morning, I will sit in this specific chair, open this specific document, and write for 25 minutes. Specificity nullifies ambiguity. And ambiguity, those vague, poorly defined tasks, is the preferred fuel of the limbic system to justify escape. Studies show that people who use implementation intentions are 2 to 3 times more likely to complete their tasks than people who only have general intentions, 2 to 3 times. Not because they are more disciplined, because they removed the need for the brain to make a decision at the moment of action, and when there is no decision to make, there is no room for escape. Write this down. Specificity is protection against procrastination. The vaguer your intention, the more power you give to your limbic system to redirect your attention. The third strategy directly attacks the future self-empathy gap that neuroscience identified. Remember that the procrastinator's brain treats their future self like a stranger? The solution is to make that future self more real, more present, more alive in your mind. Write a letter to yourself 1 year from now. Describe how you want your life to be, what you will have built, what you will have overcome, how you will feel looking back and seeing that you acted, that you did not delay, that you did not wait for the perfect moment, that you started imperfect and improved along the way. When you do this, when you make your future self concrete and emotional, the empathy gap shrinks. And as the gap shrinks, the limbic system begins to include that future self in its protection calculation. You stop abandoning a stranger and start protecting yourself. Henry Ford said that whether you believe you can or you believe you cannot, in both cases you are right. And I say, whether you treat your future self as a stranger or as the most important person in your life, in both cases you are right. And the consequences will prove it. Here's the truth. You do not need more motivation. Motivation is fleeting. It is emotional. It comes and goes like the tide. What you need are systems that work even when motivation is not present. Systems that make the right path the easiest path. Systems that reduce the friction between intention and action. The fourth strategy, and perhaps the most counterintuitive of all, is to do less but with more intention. Modern culture glorifies the endless to-do list, the packed calendar, the impossible agenda. And that glorification is, in itself, a massive source of procrastination. Because when everything is urgent, nothing is important. And when nothing is important, the limbic system always wins. Because escaping an oppressive list seems perfectly reasonable. Napoleon Hill identified this as one of the most common traps among those who aspire to success, confusing movement with progress, being busy with moving forward. And this confusion can consume entire years of a life without any real result being produced. Choose one thing. The most important thing you could do today, the task that, if completed, would make all the others irrelevant or easier. and put all your energy into it before anything else, before email, before social media, before meetings. One thing done with total intention has more power than 10 things done halfway. This message is not meant to be heard once. It is meant to be lived. Subscribe and come back here every day, because what we are building here is not temporary knowledge. It is permanent reprogramming. And since you made it this far, I need to tell you something. We created the Mental Reprogramming Planner in 21 days, 13 fundamental principles, one real transformation. It is the complete system to eliminate procrastination and build true discipline. The link is in the first pinned comment right down below. Click it, because this material was made exactly for whoever is watching this video right now. We have reached the end, but not the finish, because what was planted here today does not end with this video. It ends, or rather begins, in the moment you close this screen and decide what to do next. We are going to revisit everything you learned today, not as an academic review, but as identity reinforcement, as intentional repetition. Because repetition is the language of belief. Speak it until it is yours. 90% of people procrastinate, but now you know that is not weakness. It is neurology. It is the limbic system waging war against the prefrontal cortex, and immediate relief defeating future reward every time the battlefield is not prepared. You know that the collective illusion, the lie that procrastination is laziness, is a lack of character, is a moral defect, was built to keep you in a state of guilt, and guilt has never built anything. Guilt paralyzes, understanding liberates. You know that your brain is not your enemy. It is a poorly informed ally using primitive tools to solve modern problems. And poorly informed allies do not need to be fought. They need to be re-educated. Say this aloud, and say it as if it is the first time you truly believe it. I understand my mind. I am not a slave to my impulses. I am the architect of my actions. Write this down and stick it on the wall, on the mirror, on your computer screen. The right moment is now. The perfect version is the one that starts. The future self I want to be is being built by the choices of the self I am right now. Napoleon Hill said that all the power of achievement begins with a definite thought, supported by an unwavering faith in its realization. Not a vague desire, not a hazy dream, a definite thought, clear, specific, dated, felt in the body, repeated until it becomes identity. You have that thought? You know what you want to build? You know who you need to become to build it? Because if you do, and I believe you do, because the simple fact that you are here, reaching the end of this video, says that you are different from the 90%, then the only obstacle that remains between you and that future is the space between intention and action. And that space, you now have the tools to close it. Not tomorrow, not when you feel more motivated, not when the conditions are perfect. Now, with what you have, where you are, imperfect, incomplete, scared if necessary, but in motion. Because the world does not bend before those who wait. The world bends before those who walk with certainty. And certainty is not the absence of fear. It is the decision to advance despite it. This was not a motivational video. It was a piece of mental warfare. And now you are armed. Go, start, build. And when the limbic system screams at you to stop, and it will scream, remember what you learned here today. Remember that the scream is the signal, not the signal to stop. The signal that you are in exactly the right place, doing exactly the right thing, becoming exactly who you decided to be.